Hello everyone, Mr. YumYum here, and this is a special video because I just hit 5,000 subscribers, which is pretty unbelievable. When I first started the channel, the prospect of even having 1,000 subscribers seemed impossible to me. So the fact that the channel's grown to this level is honestly such a big milestone, and I'm so thankful to everyone that has subscribed to the channel and watches my videos. Thank you so much. To celebrate reaching 5,000 subscribers, I posted a Q&A post on YouTube community and social media for viewers to ask questions that they'd like me to answer, and I got quite a few questions, so I'm going to answer those. Travelog Shiv says, which is the one theme park in the world you have at the top of your wish list to visit? Oh, that's such a difficult question because there's so many theme parks I'd love to visit for different reasons as well, so it's hard for me to say one specific theme park. Maybe I can cheat and boil it down to 2 or 3. I'd definitely love to visit the Disney World Resort in Florida. Obviously, I'm a massive fan of Disney parks, and that is the largest Disneyland resort in the world. So I'd really love to make it over there one day and check it out. I'd also love to get over to California and go to Disneyland as well. The original park would be really amazing to properly experience the roots of the Disneyland parks around the world. I think that would be awesome. Another park I'd really love to visit one day is Efteling in the Netherlands. This park looks absolutely incredible. It's got some incredible looking rides, and just the atmosphere of the park looks beautiful. I really appreciate parks that pay attention to the atmosphere and vibe and put a lot of care into integrating nature into the parks, and I think this park does a fantastic job at that. The next would have to be a toss-up between Phantasialand in Germany and Europa Park in Germany. Again, both these parks look amazing. The theming, the attention to detail, the amount of unique and interesting rides. I think they both look like destinations I would travel all the way across the world to visit. Ryan Milliter on Instagram says, what would you like to see removed from SeaWorld and what would you replace it with? That's a really good question as well. SeaWorld is honestly my least favorite park here on the Gold Coast. I probably get there only like 2 or 3 times a year because there's just not really enough there to keep my interest. It's got a weird layout. I find the vibe is just strange. I can't really get into it outside of the events like Carnival and Spooky Nights. And a large reason for that, I believe, is because the park hasn't really adapted to fill the gap left by a lot of the ride closures and things. When the park opened, it was sort of designed with the monorail in mind, the train, ways to get around the park, and as they removed those options, they didn't fill the blanks. They didn't put anything else there for guests to actually use. So it's a very inconvenient park to get around because you sort of walk from one end to the other. That doesn't really keep the park interesting to navigate when you've already seen it, and you're just retracing your steps. So I'd love to see them finally complete the removal of the monorail and put something there to replace the monorail. I think a train or something like that would be great. In terms of attractions, the far end of the park with the pirate boats and the big playground attraction feels like a bit of dead space. It doesn't really get a lot of people there, and I think it would be much better suited if they removed what was currently there and put in a high quality immersive pirate themed dark water ride. I think that would really be like a centerpiece attraction that would bring a lot of people to the park, especially in summer when it gets really hot. Something inside with air conditioning and immersive theming would be fantastic. Chase Budek, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, on Instagram says, what's your favorite Australian ride you can always rely on? That's an interesting way of phrasing the question, because I've got some favorite rides in Australia, but I can't always rely on them. A good example of that is Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster, which is notoriously unreliable. It went down for years. I don't think I can really rely on Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. My favorite reliable rides, I guess, would have to be Jungle Rush at Dreamworld, Steel Taipan, and Murrissippi Motors. These rides don't really have any issues as such that I can think of in terms of reliability. They all run very smoothly and consistently, and they're all fantastic, enjoyable rides. Mitty Murph says, what ride would you add next to Movie World, Dreamworld, SeaWorld, Aussie World, Kambai World, Luna Park Melbourne, and Luna Park Sydney? Oh, that's a great question. So starting off with Movie World, I think there's a very clear gap at not just Movie World, but all of the parks for an immersive dark ride experience. I grew up visiting Movie World as a kid, and one of my favorite attractions was the Looney Tunes River Ride. When that left, there was a massive void left in the park. It was a huge disappointment because they replaced it with the junior driving school. And it's sort of a gap that's never really been filled at the park since. There aren't really any dark rides. They've got Justice League, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like dark shooting ride experiences. So I feel like something to fill the gap, a family-based dark ride experience would be fantastic, something immersive and highly themed. Honestly, I'd love to see a revival of the Looney Tunes River Ride. I think that would be great. But another idea I do have is a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory dark ride, which I think could be really fun. Imagine going into the Chocolate Factory and experiencing each section of the factory in a cool trackless dark ride. I think that would be really cool. Aesthetically, I think it would be nice if it was sort of in line with the Timothée Chalamet Wonka film, which is very like warm and wholesome in terms of visual design and cozy. I think that would be really nice. At Dreamworld, I have a similar answer because I do feel like the park is really missing a water-based attraction and a dark ride-based attraction. So I think if they could combine those two things together, do something really impressive and interesting and highly themed in line with what they've done with Rivertown and King Claw, I think that would be amazing. I'd love to see something like the new Mac water ride system that opens at Futuroscope, Mission Bermudes. I think that would be really cool. They're also opening a ride with the same model at Dollywood's Night Flight Expedition, which sounds incredible. It's a water coaster hybrid dark ride. It looks incredible. It sounds really interesting. So I think something like that would be awesome at Dreamworld. In terms of the theme, I'm not really sure what they could theme it to because I feel like Rivertown's sort of covered, although they could make use of the river there. I'd love to see the paddle steamer make a return, or a Jungle Cruise style attraction. In terms of this Mac water coaster type ride system, I think they could possibly use it somewhere in Ocean Parade, like that whole back end of the park that's just used as back of house storage. They could build something there, like inside a warehouse or something. That would be really cool. I would love Pirates of the Caribbean, basically. They might have some lawsuit problems with that though. For SeaWorld, I think I mentioned that in a different comment that I would love to see like a proper pirate-based dark water ride attraction, because SeaWorld used to have the Bermuda Triangle attraction, which was incredible. They also used to have the Viking log flume ride, which was a lot of fun, and now they've just got Storm Coaster, which doesn't really scratch the itch for a dark water ride attraction. So I'd love to see just Pirates of the Caribbean. That's going to be all my answers for this question. Aussie World, Pirates of the Caribbean, I think would be really cool. Goodbye World, Pirates of the Caribbean. No, seriously, Aussie World? I don't know what's going on at Aussie World. They just need a solid coaster, basically. They've got the Dingo Racer thing, which I'm not crazy about. It's a bit rough, it's a bit bumpy. It's kind of like something you'd see at a fairground. The theming was kind of cool. It was like a Mad Max type thing, which was kind of nice. But they just need like one solid coaster there. As for what that could be, I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of a funny layout, the park. It's sort of on a slope on the side of a hill, which they could maybe use to their advantage. I'm not really sure about Aussie World. It's a strange little park. Goodbye World's a really interesting park because they've got two really well-themed coasters there. So I'd love to see what else they could come up with. I don't know how it could be done respectfully, but like a First Nations sort of based attraction would be really cool. I think it would be a fun way to do something educational to tie in with the theme of the park. Like a coaster themed to something like that would be really cool. Luna Park Melbourne, I've only visited once, and it's definitely a park that's limited by its size because the Great Scenic Railway surrounds most of the park, and that's sort of the main attraction that I'm a big fan of. I think a really nice attraction they could add there that might fit in would be a wave swinger, like the Dreamworld Flyer, something old school and classy with that sort of New York boardwalk style vibe. I think that would fit really nicely into the park. And last but not least, Luna Park Sydney, which is actually a park I haven't visited yet. It's on my list. I'd love to try and make it down there this year sometime, hopefully. And in terms of the ride lineup, I'm not really sure what they're missing. It's very much that sort of, again, like a boardwalk style vibe. It looks like they don't have a ghost train. I think a ghost train would be really cool. But instead of just like doing a simple old-fashioned one, if they did something really elevated, like they took the concept of a ghost train and made something world-class and really high quality, which I don't know if that's in line with how the park is. I don't have an idea of the vibe there, but that's something that I think would be really cool. IK says, what's the one thing you'd like to see at any of the GC parks in 2026? I've already sort of covered rides and things, but I'd love to see accommodation at either Movie World or Dreamworld, and I know this is in the plans for both of those parks. I think it's time to really build up the infrastructure surrounding the parks and turn them into more of a destination rather than somewhere that people spend part of their visit to the Gold Coast. A lot of people say the parks aren't big enough to have a hotel, but I think a secret surprise angle that no one's looking at it from is that they can kind of leech off of each other. Like whoever's first to build the hotel will reap the benefits of the fact that another park is right down the road from them. They'll essentially be accommodating guests visiting the other park as well, who may or may not be looking for a convenient place to stay nearby. Outside of that, I would love to see, at Movie World, I'd love to see a Mad Max attraction or show. I think it's such a shame that there's nothing in the park really to tie in with those films, because during Hooray for Hollywood they bring out Mad Max's car, which is awesome, but there's nothing else in the park to do with that. At Dreamworld in general, I'd love to see more of an upgrade to the way that the park does their entertainment, because I feel like the infrastructure and the way that they integrate the entertainment into the park is a bit strange, because something about it just doesn't seem to gel. I mean, everyone's really talented and everything, and the show's are good enough concepts, but it just never feels like it is integrated into the park in a way that would bring lots of people there. So I'd love to see some kind of show added to the park, like a big show. When they did the firework display during their extended hours, that kind of gave a picture of how enthusiastic people are about a big spectacular show like that. It was like the centerpiece of the evening. Everyone was basing their whole visit around the fireworks. And it was so popular that when I left the park, people were even sitting outside the park just watching the fireworks. It was that much of a draw card. So something like that, they really need a Dreamworld. And at SeaWorld, I'd love to see a replacement to the Thunder Lake show. I'd love to see something themed to New Atlantis. I can just picture it right now, like the jet skis and everything could be retrofitted into like Atlantean themed devices, and if Leviathan himself was incorporated, I don't know how they would do that, but some sort of animatronic boat thing like Jaws, I think that would be amazing. And also, I'd love to see a ride at Paradise Country. I know that's not really exactly the purpose of that park in particular, but I think that would really elevate that park. Something themed to Shaun the Sheep would be really cool. Something like Overboard at the Gingerbread Factory, explaining why Shaun is in Australia would be really funny, like showing how he got across the world to Australia. Hi Popcorn has a few questions, so I'll answer them one by one. First question, who would win in a fight? 1 billion lions or one of every Pokemon? 1 billion is a lot of lions. So how many Pokemon are there? How many Pokemon are there? There's 1,025 unique Pokemon species. So they would be heavily outnumbered by the lions. I feel like the lions might have a better chance, but the Pokemon, they've got some pretty unique abilities. They could explode the lions or set them on fire or drown them or whatever else Pokemon are well known for. That's why kids love Pokemon, isn't it? They drown things and set them on fire, and that's the main appeal, right? Probably not. I think, yeah, the Pokemon would win, obviously, because some of them can fly, and lions, they haven't unlocked flying yet. Actual question, I love your art style. Was there anything that inspired your style, or is that just how you draw? Thank you, I'm glad that you like my art style, although it feels very generous to call it art. The truth is, I've always been interested in drawing and any kind of creativity, and for a long time I really wanted to improve my drawing abilities. So I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to draw different styles, and nothing ever really stuck, and it sort of ruined the fun of drawing for me until I just decided to try and draw in a way that made me laugh or smile, and that's sort of how I came up with the way I currently draw, which is very childish and silly. I just like to draw stuff that makes me feel happy, and I'm not sure there's an inspiration for that. There's definitely other art styles that I'm a huge fan of. I love Studio Ghibli films. When I was growing up, I read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes, which was amazing. I really love the art style in those comics, and I guess just the overall anime sort of influence, although that doesn't really come through in my drawings at all. Yeah, the main thing is I just like to draw stuff that makes me feel happy, and I'm not a particularly talented artist at all, but I know if something makes me laugh, then it'll probably make someone else laugh. The Real Generic Smile has a few questions as well. Number one, do you have any interests and hobbies besides theme parks? I would say theme parks are sort of a branch of my main interest, which is storytelling and creativity. That's really the main thing I'm passionate about in life. I really want to become successful in a creative field. The problem is I'm interested in practically every branch of creativity. I love to draw, I love to make music, I love to film, take photos, write, everything. I love it. That's sort of my main interest and hobby. I really love to make stuff, and sort of the way I engage with the world. I love to read books, I love to watch movies. I'm extremely interested in the making of any form of media. I really love to learn about the creative process and the inspiration that led to different stories or attractions and things like that. I've actually got a second channel, Between the Lines Books and Films, where I talk about media that I'm interested in, so feel free to check that out. Number two, what are your best theme park tips on when to go and how to get the most out of your day? My biggest tip for visiting theme parks would definitely be to plan your visits. Don't just improvise and do things by the seat of your pants, because there's so many attractions and things to do at theme parks, it's impossible to fit everything into one day. So you sort of have to go in with a goal in mind. Make sure you know the schedule, what rides there are, which rides are popular, how the queue times are at different times of the day, and plan your day around that instead of just trying to work it out when you get there and getting disappointed when you can't fit everything in. So go in with a goal, know what you want to get out of your day, but also be open to spontaneity. Like if something surprises you and grabs your attention more than what you had planned, go with that, and be open to surprises. Number 3, who was your first subscriber, if you know? I'm not actually sure. I don't know who my first subscriber is. Probably someone in my family. The channel started out quite differently to what it is now. Originally, I was going to make videos about food, and it didn't do very well. No one really watched it. I think the only people subscribed to me were family members. Koala75 says, what are your favorite types of videos to produce on your channel? I enjoy making pretty much all of my videos, but my favorite videos to make are the ones where I visit new places, where I go to new parks around the world or new locations. I love to travel. I love to learn about the world and experience different cultures and broaden my horizons, I guess. So those are my favorite videos to make. Unfortunately, they don't get any views. The main videos that get views on my channel are more about the local Gold Coast parks. And I'm not saying I don't enjoy making those videos, it's a blast keeping up with all the updates and everything, but my favorite ones are the ones where I go to new places, and I'd love it if people check those out. Those are all the questions I received on my Q&A. Thank you to everyone who left a question, and I'm sorry to anyone's questions so I didn't answer. There were a few that were quite similar, so I sort of tried to condense them down. And thank you so much again to everyone who supported my channel over the past few years. I think I started the channel maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it's come so far. I'm really pleased with it. It's become a huge creative outlet, and it's really helped me grow and develop my abilities in terms of making videos, which is something I've always enjoyed doing, but I've never really found a way to really practice it. So I just have such a blast making videos. I love sharing them, and I love engaging with viewers. I've made so many friends and met so many wonderful people. The amount of support and kindness that people show is really encouraging, and it's very special. So thank you so much. I look forward to continuing to make videos in 2026. I'm sure the channel will grow and change in different ways, and thank you so much again. I'd also like to give a huge thanks to all the members and sponsors of Team YumYum who have supported my videos over the past year since I started the channel membership option. It's been such a huge motivation and inspiration that people enjoy my videos enough to support the channel, and I've had so much fun drawing the characters and little animations and things. So thank you so much. A huge thank you to Koala75, Lee Donald, Maloney's Coasters, Randall, Kai on the Internet, Carrie Jackin, Audrey Allen, Oogie Boogie, Theme Park Ogre, Jordan Casey, Movies Like Everyone, Senpai's JP Blue Dog, Senpai's JP Red Dog, Local Aussie U4X, Wayne Hewitt, The Downy Cat, The Kez, Mika, Smathmo the Awesome, Lexi Marie, Sienna's Hot Lunch, Jacqueline Bees, Luke Fritz, and Vincent Gotti. And for any of my members and sponsors who haven't let me know yet what you would like your drawings or animations to be, feel free to comment down below and I'll try and get something drawn or animated for you very soon. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time.